A lot of entrepreneurs are asking me, Stelly, what do I invest my money in right now during this crisis? Should I buy gold, Bitcoin, foreign currencies? How do I protect my wealth? What do I do to protect what I've built so far? And you know what the answer is most of the time? Well, first of all, I don't fucking know, right? I'm not an investment expert. I don't know what you should allocate your entire wealth portfolio to be optimally protected against the global pandemic and the economic downturn that might ensue afterwards. I don't fucking know. But here's what I do know. How about investing in yourself? How about, instead of worrying what to do with the little bit of money that you have, how about you take that money, time, energy, and you focus it on yourself? Here's what I mean. This is what I do and how I respond to my own inner little voice, the kind of internal insecurity that I have, that little voice, that little bitch that tells me, things are going bad. Maybe the US dollar is going to collapse. We're going to have hyperinflation. The fiat currency model is flawed. Stock markets are crazy. The economies are going to go through a massive collapse. We have social and economic massive, paradigm shifts about to happen. When I have all these voices of insecurity and anxiety inside my own head and I'm trying to figure out what should I do, once in a while I'll come across a piece of information, somebody writing out a thesis on this is why you need to invest in gold. Gold is the gold standard, and here's why gold is going to rise and it's going to protect you against hyperinflation, yada, yada, yada. Here's all the options, you should get gold. And then I start thinking, gold, yeah, maybe I should get some gold. That's a good idea. And then a couple of days later, I read something about Bitcoin, right? And it's like, here's the thesis why all the smart money is going to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to go up to 1 million, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe I should buy Bitcoin. And the cycle continues. And eventually, I tell my inner voice to shut the fuck up. And I remind myself of a couple of simple things. Number one, I'm not an expert and I'm not a speculator. I don't take joy from investing and speculating where to put my money in. I've never have. I made some money in investing in things. I lost some money investing in things. But I'm not necessarily at the core an investor, at least not up until this point, which means like actually having joy and having a unique point of view and creating my unique thesis and feeling at least that I'm ahead of the curve, no matter if I win or lose. It's just not my world. It's not the thing that I'm most passionate about. That's one. Number two, doing what everybody else does or acting based on some article or tweet storm or advice that some other friend gives me that's not an expert in a field is not necessarily a good idea, right? I don't have an original point of view. I'm just following the herd impulsively, intuitively, emotionally. Not intuitively, emotionally and impulsively. That's the word I was looking for. And that never leads to great outcomes. The next thing I remind myself is that for most people, for most entrepreneurs, let's talk about that. When you talk about entrepreneurs specifically, the people that I talk to, for many of them, if not most of them, if you look at the cash they have, the stock investments they have, their equity in their business, if you look at kind of the entire wealth portfolio, most of the people that I interact with day in, day out are still in the building wealth phase. They're not in the protecting wealth or diversifying wealth phase of their life. And so having conversations about where, should I take my, whatever it is, 100,000 in cash and buy gold or change and buy foreign currencies, yada, yada, yada. Like, I don't want to come across as a douchebag, but there's a point where it's like when we're talking about 100,000 or 10,000, or I know this is a lot of money, but at that level, when you're below 1 million, let's say, at least, taking that money, the 100K, 200K, and worrying about perfect allocation, how much gold, how much cash, how many bonds, how much stock, maybe some real estate, maybe like what's the best thing to protect my wealth against these uncertain times? If you're young, if this is not the part of your life where you live off that money, in my mind, it's a waste of time. The numbers are too small to worry and invest and work so hard in protecting it. What I tell myself, what I do with my wealth, And what I advise you to do is take the money that you have, take the wealth you have, the energy, especially your time and energy, and invest it in yourself. How can I grow myself? Maybe there's courses I should study, things I should learn. Maybe maybe now is an opportune time to start a side business, right? Maybe now is the time to take some of that money and build that app, or start your blog, or invest in a YouTube channel, or run some ads for that e-commerce store that you have neglected. Maybe now is the time to start an e-commerce store and start selling things online, or start a little software business, or build something, a small business. Maybe now's the time to invest in writing your book, but not just writing it. Maybe now you take that money and you less expensively get artwork and get somebody to do the editing and publish or print a bunch of these books and start promoting them, right? Maybe now's the time to invest in yourself. Take some of that money and put it in an asset that is not as speculative as our currency is going to go up and down. Is gold going to go up and down? What about oil prices? What about the global economy? How about investing in yourself, in something where if you grow, that's yours. That is yours. Through the highs and lows, you can take that with you, right? At least in experiences and skill sets and knowledge and wisdom. Try new things, experiment. Now's the time to start new revenue streams, to start a side business, to take a side business you had and really invest in it, run ads, right? If you take some risk on you, especially if you're not an expert, especially if this shit doesn't give you joy and would stress you out even more. You start investing in these speculative financial products, and then all day long you have to track them on your phone, and when they go down, you have even more anxiety, even more stress. Fuck all that. Fuck that shit. And I have had this conversation with multiple friends. I have family members that have $5,000 to their name on the side and that worry all day long how to allocate those $5,000 because they are afraid of hyperinflation. Should we buy a Bitcoin? Should we buy a tiny penny of gold and put that on our mattress? I don't want to look down on that. Those are people I love. But if you have $5,000 or euros, it's pointless. Take that money. How about taking that money and starting an e-commerce business, or selling something on eBay? Start buying a bunch of things and try to sell them on eBay. Or take that money and spend it on a course, or take that money and run ads for your business, right? Now that ad inventory, the prices for ads are going down. How about taking that money and investing in you versus trying to be a financial investor and speculator during uncertain times when that's not your business, that's not your world. And I told this to another friend who was telling me about some real estate investment thing that he learned about from another friend, and how this is a perfect time, and he's going to take some money from his parents and some of his money, and he's going to pool together some money from friends and family to invest in this real estate deal. And this is a young person that's an entrepreneur. And I was like, why don't you take that money and invest in yourself? Why don't you take that money and put that in the business that you're running, the e-commerce business you're running? Or take that money and run a new business, the new business you've been telling me about that you've meaning to start. Here's the deal. It's probably always a good time to invest in yourself. When things are good, you should take all that and invest in yourself. When times are bad, you should invest in yourself. Maybe as the timeline of life and the risk appetite and your growth potential at some point in life is flattening out, and you're like, now I'm in a phase in my life where I want to live off my wealth, and I want to relax, and I want to live off my current capabilities. I'm not going to have another 10, 20-year career trajectory that goes up. Maybe that's the time to start allocating, to protect what you have, to be conservative, to spread it, to diversify it so you're not overly exposed in one asset group. But if you're in your 20s or 30s, if you're entrepreneurial, this is not the time to worry about what stocks to buy, what gold to buy or Bitcoin, and how to protect your cash or any of your other wealth that you've built so far. No matter how meaningful that wealth seems to you, in my mind, take that money, invest in yourself. Ask yourself, how could I invest everything I have, or a good amount, a chunk of the money that I have that I'm afraid of, might be worthless if the world goes down the drain? How can I take some of that money now and invest it in something that won't go down the drain when the world collapses, which is myself? How can I invest it in skills, in experiences, in knowledge, in income streams for myself? Invest in you. And if you lack any kind of ideas around that, send me an email, stellyfd@gmail.com or stelly@close.com. Tell me who you are. Tell me about your money, your worries, and the ideas you had of investing it. And I'll give you some ideas of how to invest in it in yourself in ways that I believe will pay much higher returns in your future.